All right, what a beautiful and blessed afternoon of the fourth Sunday of Advent. Yes, see, it is, and also it is the last Sunday of Advent season. Yes, listener, we come together once again as members of the family of God this beautiful and amazing afternoon as we celebrate beautifully the fourth Sunday and the last Sunday of Advent year C. And my dear brothers and sisters in Christ, as we approach the final days of Advent, our hearts are filled with anticipation for the celebration of the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ. And the fourth Sunday of Advent invites us to reflect on the unfolding of God's divine plan, a plan that is both humble, simple, and profound. Otherwise, thanks so much for always keeping your dial on Radio Patches 94.5 FM, a piece of Christ for all. And I want to say that you're most welcome to this program. God is calling every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m., where we get to discuss about family issues, marriage issues that do affect our families, that issues that do affect our marriage, how we can be able to come out of them, how we can be able to have a very wonderful and amazing families. And you are most welcome. And today is the 22nd of December 2024, 15 minutes. That is after 3 p.m. That means you're going to be here for the next 45 minutes talking about stress management during this festive season. I am Fredo, the host. I am not alone in the studio. I also do have Mr. Dratibi Daniel Dleba. I want to say it's a pleasure having you, Mr. Dratibi Daniel Dleba, in the studio.
Greetings to all our listeners out here in West Nile, those who are listening in from Congo, those who are listening in from South Sudan,
Okay.
and other parts of this country. I want to say Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year 2025. And we are glad to be back here in the studios of Radio Patches.
It has been a while, by
Yes.
the way. It has been a while. You got lost.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
Yes.
Once again, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
All right, listener, that is management during this festival season because so many things are happening in the families, in our communities. People are running up and down. Some people are running mad. Others. So many issues are happening, and we are here. Mr. Drativi Daniel is here to try to, bring some ways that we can be able to manage stress during this festive season. And so I'll be able to also interact with you later on using the studio lines 0701 708 or 0393 273 and the SMS line is 0788 956 494. Those are the avenues that you'll be able to use to connect with us here. So we collectively discuss about stress management during this festive season. Yes, Mr. Dr. Daniel, today we celebrate the fourth Sunday and the last Sunday of Advent. That means on Wednesday, now we're entering the Christmas season.
Yes.
I believe you had a very wonderful celebration of the last Sunday of Advent.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And it is interesting. Most people out there, when we talk about Christmas, many of them are saying they're not sure whether Christmas will arrive this year. And that's why we want to be able to share these issues around stress.
Okay.
Because many people are stressed in our families, in our communities, and we want to help our people to see how do we navigate through this season. How do we navigate through this festive season, which is full of expenditures, which is full of demands. And at the end of the day, we want to see how do we have a fruitful season, and then also having 2025 into perspective, and how do we navigate through these storms or challenges that might bring some stressing factors to us. Because if we don't address issues around stress, then two things happen. Stress affects both our physical health, as well as our mental health, as we are going to be looking through. So that's why we need to address this issue so that we're able to help. Because, like we've always said, prevention is better than cure. It is easier to prevent and cost-effective to prevent than to treat. So that's why we are having this show today.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Dratibi Daniel Dreba, for that beautiful overview in regards to what we are going to talk about this beautiful afternoon, the 22nd of December 2024. Listener, 18 minutes already after 3 p.m. And as I said, we are talking about stress management during this festive season. Now, Mr. Daniel, I don't want to waste a lot of time here. If I may ask, first things first, what is stress?
Now, stress can be defined in various definitions.
Okay.
But I want to help our people to get stress from a layman's perspective.
Okay.
Now, when we look at stress in a layman's perspective, stress is any situation that makes you uncomfortable.
Okay.
Makes you feel uncomfortable and makes you psychologically disturbed.
Okay.
And this normally comes as a result when the demands on you, the demands, physical, mental, and emotional demands on you, you don't have the resources or you don't have the ability to be able to meet these demands. Normally, there is that reaction that comes. And this reaction that comes from this combination when the demands you have, you don't have enough resources on your personal capacity or even socially, you don't have the resources that you can be able to mobilize to be able to deal with these demands. That reaction is normally what is stressing. That is normally stressful. So we are looking at that event, that situation that makes you uncomfortable. It makes you psychologically disturbed. You don't know what to do next.
True.
And you are in a state of worry. You're in a state of hopelessness. You're in a state where you feel everything is falling apart. So that is normally what we refer to as a stress.
Okay.
And one thing I want to say is, please listen out there, you are not alone. You could be going through something that is making you uncomfortable. It is making you psychologically disturbed. I want to announce to you, you are not alone. 2, help is available when we open our hearts to seek for help. Number 3, self-care is very important during this season. And number 4, I want to announce to all of us that we have the capacity and the strength to persevere and navigate through these storms of life whenever they come, at whatever time.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. DroTV Daniel Dreva, for explaining to us, defining to us what stress is all about. And now, talking about stress itself, if I may ask you, Mr. Daniel, what triggers stress in a human person? I believe stress is only zeroed down to humans, not really the other animals too. Yes.
Stress is triggered by various things.
Okay.
Now, I normally tell people that stress is only in 2 places. And it is until you understand these dynamics, you may be doing the opposite. Now, stress is only found at home, at the same time at workplace.
Okay.
Now, what triggers a stress? Number 1, work pressure.
Sure.
Work pressure, deadlines, and things like those. Then, of course, you have financial crisis and debts. Now, where we have Christmas next week on Wednesday.
Sure.
We have loans in the bank. We have salary loans. We have loans with money lenders. We have loans in our savings groups.
The circles.
We have the circles, and we have loans everywhere. We have loans on more cash. I can tell you, this crisis, you don't know what next. Yet the demands, you have demands to meet. You have demands of food. You have demands of clothing. You have demands of so many things that you needed to have during this season. All these issues bring pressure.
Sure.
We have, of course, poor health. When somebody has a poor health condition, it really triggers a stress as well. Then life major changes. For example, those who have been single, then you get married. That is a life change. Now, adjusting to a married life from singlehood is a work.
Sure.
It may even become very stressful.
Sure.
And then equally, if somebody has been married and then by choice or by circumstance, they choose to become single parents, then you realize that shifting from that life where they were married to singlehood is also a life change.
Sure.
Or maybe you are working, then you are now laid off. Now you have no job. So all these are life changes.
Sure.
So that moment also brings a lot of stress. And then there is the self-imposed stress, self-imposed pressures. For example, There are people who said this year, 2024, they must have ABCD. And today is 22nd of December, and those things are nowhere to be seen. Now the pressure is too much. Now you have people who had put themselves under pressure that on Christmas they must have ABCD, they must do this, yet the available resources does not necessitate all these things. So because somebody now puts themselves on a pressure, because I must have this, I must do ABCD because my friends are doing it, you realize that because of the self-imposed pressure, you get into a state of hopelessness and you will be very stressed. Then of course also we have gender-based violence in families, which also triggers the stress. We have marital challenges. Like in my book of Hope in the Age of Depression, I've written something that many marriages and relationships are in the intensive care unit because many people then choose to suffer in silence. But I can tell you, marriages are struggling, things are falling apart, relationships are breaking down. So when we have issues around the relationships which are failing, which are falling apart, it also puts stress. Of course, we have the demands and expectations. Everybody is actually right now people are expecting something from you, and where you may not be able to meet their demands, stress. And for you, actually, it is now on both sides. They are stressing you, and also you are also stressing them because the demands and expectations are never met. You know, and then of course the parenting stress. Now, as a parents, there's a lot of pressure going on. How will I manage this? And remember, in January, students are going back to school. And then the children need ABCD, and then you have the school fees coming up, you have ABCD coming through, and then the children are becoming also something else. The children are becoming, you know, they are doing their own thing, that not that thing that you expect them to do. You know, all these pressures are there. And then, of course, the environmental factors. Environment can be stressful, you know. And then, of course, uncertainty and the change. We don't want to change. That's why very soon you will even hear people shout, no change. Why? We don't want change because of the uncertainties that come with the change. So all of these issues trigger stress. Of course, unemployment is a huge issue for most people. In fact, as a region, as West Nile, the unemployment rate here is heavy. Every time Arua district or Arua city or Masha district or Terego district or any of our local governments, whenever they advertise for jobs, like 30 positions, you have over 500 people applying. So where do the rest go? You see, there's a lot of unemployment, and this triggers stress. Of course, there is a poverty. We have the natural disasters. We have the high costs of living. Now, right now, I was in town as I was coming here. People were buying chicken along that road where they normally sell chicken.
Yes.
And I can tell you, somebody tells you a very young cook like this, they tell you it is for 50,000, 60. Now and then for you, you are looking at, you have a big family. That means you might need 2 chicken or 3,
or even 4.
or even 4. So look at the high cost of living in Arua City, for example, or even other places. So all this put a lot of pressure. How will I live with life? So all of these are triggers. All of these are, and even many more, even bullying, even exams. Some like students are stressed because of exams. Interviews, people are stressed. What am I going to say? People are worried. So all of these issues make people uncomfortable. And then of course one other thing that keeps stressing is, you know, the past. I'm sure you've seen people who say, I don't want to talk about the past because it reminds me, it haunts me, you know. So all these are things that make us uncomfortable discussing. It makes us uncomfortable. But I can tell you, all of these issues affect all of us. That's why I said earlier on here that you are not alone. You could be going through a financial crisis. You are not alone. You see, now, during this season, now, it is mostly financial. That's why, you know, in this book of mine of Broke by Choice, I particularly shared my own journey. My own experiences. I know what it means to be in debt. I know what it means to be in a financial crisis. I know what it means when the bank is taking all your salary. I know what it means. I know what it means to be in a total crisis. You don't have where to go next, and you are stuck. But then, how do we move? How do we navigate through this? Because I can tell you, everything rises and falls on money, whether you like it or yes. Without money, there's no peace. And with too much money, there's also no peace. So at the end of the day, but money is the solution. That's why it is written, I think, in the Bible that money answers all things. But then it is the love of money which is the root of all evil.
Okay.
So, but you are not alone. You could be going through a crisis right now. I want to tell you, you're not alone.
True.
You can still navigate through this.
True.
If I did it, then any other person can also do it.
That is true.
You know, so that's why we are sharing from experiences. We are saying, no, even through this period, when things are falling apart, you don't. And that's why I said stress triggers both physical and mental illnesses. That's why I want to just bring you to the effects, for example, now of stress. When you are stressed, whether it is financial crisis, whether it is whether it is a family problem, whether it is marital problems, whether it is relationship problems, whatever it is which has triggered for you stress, if this stress is not addressed, one, we are going to see many of our people struggling and suffering from hypertension. In fact, many of our people are hypertensive. Hypertension is triggered by stress. Because then the blood pressure is low, so blood must be pumped at a very high blood pressure, at a very high pressure. That's why we have high blood pressure. You know, and stress triggers these issues. Stress triggers diabetes. Stress triggers cardiovascular problems. Heart failures, heart conditions are triggered by stress. You know, chronic stress is that very bad. We have premature aging. People grow old as if they just move to the communities.
You see a young man of 25 years appear as if he's already 50.
You look at a 24-year-old girl and she looks 40. You know, and it's because of this. Then of course because of stress. I'm sure you've heard of those statements.
True.
You know, drug and substance abuse here in West Nile has been a huge issue. Alcohol, drugs and substances. Of course, we have in West Nile all the three states of matter are covered: solid, gas, and the liquid. You know, all these issues are triggered by stress.
Yes.
Of course, and then the mental health disorders. You know, stress is responsible for anxiety, excessive worry, because you're worried of what will I do next. Some people are even worried about what they will eat on Christmas, yet today is still Sunday. Excessive worry. How will I get the money to pay these loans? How will I pay these debts? How will I pay this SACCO money? I can tell you in villages right now, every community where there were savings groups, where there were meat groups, people are looking for meat. They want to buy their bulls to slaughter on Tuesday.
On Tuesday and
they divide. But now you haven't paid them. You see the kind of pressure, you know. So before you know it, it leads to anxiety, excessive worry. Anxiety leads to depression. You know, and then you lose interest in yourself. That's why right now there are many people right now who can't sleep. Sleep has abandoned them. They can't sleep. Why? Because sleep has completely abandoned. Because it is triggered from stress to now anxiety and depression. Appetite is gone long ago. Even when they try to bathe, water does not even now touch their skin. Even when they try to smear themselves, the oil cannot even touch them. You look at the hair, even when they try to use the relaxer, there is nothing that can relax the hair.
It remains straight.
It remains straight. Nothing can, you know. And all these are issues that affect, you know. And, you know, mental health is real. This is where now you go to the mood, people are angry and bitter because of these issues. Because anger is a manifestation of mental issues, you know. People no longer want to take care of their basic hygiene. They hardly bathe, they hardly wash their clothes, they hardly take care of their health. You know why? Because of depression now at work, but it's triggered from stress. People are now into addiction. They can't do without drugs. They can't do without alcohol. They can't do without issues of addiction. Why? Because of stress, triggered by stress. People are isolated. They now want to stay alone. They fear coming out to people. They fear the public now. Because it is now a mental disorder. You come to concentration, they can't concentrate at work. They can't do it. They have become unproductive. Even if they're to work, they're busybodies. Others actually now, they are always absent. Look at performance in all sectors in our district here, in all sectors in our region, West Nile. Be education, beware, everything is falling apart. No productivity. Why? Stress. I've moved around, I can tell you, everybody looks stressed. And where there's too much stress, don't expect the results.
Sure.
So these are issues that affect all of us, but we are saying here, help is available. Stress affects both physical and mental health. That's why we must be able to address it. And today we are glad here. Please, listeners out there, you can also give us your feedback. As they open the lines, we'll be able to discuss and see how to navigate through.
Okay.
But the biggest issue here is, how do we navigate through? Because for me, that is the best thing here.
Okay.
That is the biggest, actually it is the crux of the matter now.
Definitely we shall reach that.
Because now we are here, we are in this
Okay.
crisis.
Okay.
How do we navigate through this?
Okay.
Through this period of Christmas.
Okay.
How can we have a Merry Christmas with all of these challenges?
True.
How can we have a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year?
How can we receive the baby Jesus?
How can we receive the baby Jesus
In our hearts.
in our hearts on Wednesday? And not only waiting for Wednesday, but even now.
Now, true.
Exactly.
True. All right. Thank you so much. What stress is, and also what triggers stress, and also some of the effects of stress. Listener, if you have just tuned in, you're listening to Radio Purchase 94.5 FM, the Peace of Christ for All, and this is the program God is Calling every Sunday from 3 to 4.